I am here with the tech genius who people call when even Google doesn't have the answer. He is also the gentleman who businesses call when they are in the midst of a success crisis. And he also is known for keeping his finger on the pulse of practical innovation for businesses today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am speaking, of course, of Charlotte's own Daniel Pentecost.
Thanks for the long introduction, Mike. I'm happy to be here with a customer experience expert and a bestseller.
Tell me about success crises and the first time you were professionally hired to deal with one.
Well, most people don't know that a success crisis can kill you just as easy as a crisis of failure. I was invited to work for a company where the puppy had truly chased the train and caught it. An EPA
No.
stormwater compliance business had won the business of Home Depot, most major home builders, and almost every big box store. And they needed help keeping up with the load that they had created for themselves by becoming the trusted advisor in that area for stormwater compliance.
So, what did you do? How did you help them with this crisis? And what are the elements of such a crisis? Just too many phone calls, too many requests. Soon you have too many irate customers.
Yeah, it is absolutely that. Too much everything. So too many phone calls, which we replaced the phone system, too many requests. So we started automating all of their workflows using web-based tools. Too many, truly everything, because they needed all new laptops for staff that were going to be in the field. They needed to hire new staff that were in the field. They had to have new HR systems because they had never had more than 10 employees. Everything you can imagine in the running of a business, they needed, and they needed in weeks, not months. And so we helped grow them 150 employees in 3 months.
Whoa! And I hear that this you succeeded in this, and it became a business for you of doing this for multiple companies, and you still do that today.
Absolutely. I figured out that I love a success crisis. Although as I have turned a few more gray hairs in my beard, I have become less excited about the midnight phone calls, but I truly enjoy getting a phone call from a small business owner who says, I have gotten myself into something that is bigger than I know how to manage. Then we can come in and help bring the skills and the tools and the technology that they need in order to live through and excel through their success crisis.
Oh wow! What is the name? You are a man of multiple businesses. What is the name of that company?
That is Anyion Group, and Anyion Group was founded now 19 years ago, and so we're excited that this year is our 20th year, and that's actually a dictionary word that came with me from college. That means any charged particle. And in our business, everything we touch is effectively a charged particle because we never know what's going to blow up in the business when we start making changes. And we have to be able to work with the negative and the positive.
So maybe not as exciting as a success crisis, but certainly as important. Have you been able to help anyone who's been vulnerable since COVID started?
It seems like every small business in Charlotte, and that is a true statement.
And
I
are you
got
in
a
Charlotte now?
I am in Charlotte, and after living in Dallas for a while, ended up in Charlotte, and Charlotte is now home. And definitely love the city and the resources that are available here. But during COVID, um, small businesses were
Mm.
hurting, and no one seemed to be focusing on the needs of small business. And I got a call from the Charlotte LGBT Chamber of Commerce that said, hey, can we do something about this? Because they had noticed the need and noticed that no one else was addressing it. So together, my company, CLT Geek, and the Charlotte LGBT Chamber of Commerce put together two resource centers, one called Ready CLT and one called Support CLT. And in 24 hours, we started offering a call center experience to small businesses who needed help finding protective equipment, finding the right loans and grants to keep their businesses open. In fact, we worked with about 8,000 businesses during the first 3 weeks that the center was open. and gave away 170 to 180,000 pieces of protective equipment. And we had great community partners also with the state of North Carolina. Once we started asking for help and they found out that Charlotte needed help because our small businesses were hurting, the answers were yes, yes, and how can we help? And so we became the center point of the small business outreach initiative for the city of Charlotte to help small businesses not only live through COVID-19, but thrive through COVID-19. And we're blessed that about 8,000 businesses were able to receive services through a call center that we built in 24 hours, office that we set up with agents using space provided by our local Charlotte History Museum. And we just all look back and go, wow, we did that so quickly. But it's about solving the needs when the needs appear. And we didn't have
Now,
time to wait for somebody else to solve the needs that we had locally.
how do you set up a contact center in 24 hours?
Well, it's about having a provider in your back pocket that you know inside out and know that can survive what you're about to throw at them. And in
Wow.
that case, I had been using Nextiva in my own businesses for 5 years and knew the system upside down and backwards, you could say. Because as a techie, I'm going to know the techie stuff. And so I enjoy that part of the business. We were able to grab phones. Thankfully, I have a stocked warehouse available near Charlotte that I can get stuff from. And then it was just a matter of saying, okay, we're going to go. And so we set up 11 agents with headsets and laptops initially, and then set up some handsets in addition. And we set that up on Friday, tested it on Saturday, and launched it on Monday.
Wow. And is there a virtual aspect to Nextiva that made it conducive to this?
Absolutely. In fact, without being able to use the Nextiva app, we would not have been able to do it. Social distancing requirements in North Carolina at the time when we set it up meant we needed to set agents up in what was effectively a giant ballroom with about 12 feet between them. And so we were able to use laptops on Wi-Fi with the Nextiva app and headsets to drive a call center and provide service to the small businesses of Charlotte.
Oh my goodness. So even though they were in, yeah, some of those ballrooms can be enormous. So even though they were what you sort of would think was the same physical location, it was basically as if they were remote, and the app made it possible to handle that. Okay, so that is wild. Now, if anyone needed to do something like this, get up and running in, say, 24 hours, who should they call?
Well, assuming you're not in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you're in Charlotte, call me. But if you're in another city, I would suggest that you call a partner of Nextiva and ask them to help you, because the partners have the technologies available to them so that they can quickly deploy it. And they'll have it in your local area. They will be able to do it faster than anyone else. And so that goes for if you need computers, laptops, phones, remote installs of the Nextiva app. Your partners in the partner channel are invaluable because of what they're able to have in their own local area that you don't have to wait to show up. And in COVID, that has been exceptionally important, as imports have been delayed. We're having trouble getting our hands on laptops. What I can get my hands on locally is what has enabled us to make a difference in the lives of so many small businesses.
Now, it's just hearing you talk, I can tell that the contact center of 2021 is really different than the contact centers that you were setting up even just a few years ago. What are some of the innovations that you're seeing businesses of varying sizes make right now, or that they should be making and that they aren't? Can you share a few of those that you're seeing?
Well, one that we found particularly invaluable, you might call going old school, and that is to have the phone answered by a human. So instead of setting up an AI system, instead of setting up an automated attendant, we have gone through now what is one of the longest periods of time where we've been separated from other humans, and humans like to deal with other humans. So we got tremendous response from the local community just from the fact that we were answering the phone
Mm.
where no one else was answering. They would call this, call the state or call someone else, and they would get an automated attendant and please hold, and your wait may be 4 hours. Or if you were calling our local employment division, your wait may be 12 hours. We were answering the phone and answering questions, and that, especially right now during COVID, is what potential customers crave, is someone who is going to answer the phone with an actual human, whether that is a human in your office, or if it's a small business, maybe a service like Ruby, Ruby Receptionists, if you're not familiar
Hmm.
with Ruby. We're
Yeah, yeah,
big
a company out
fans
of
of Ruby.
Portland, Oregon, I believe. Yeah.
They are exceptional at answering the phone and making potential clients feel welcome. If you want to gain business right now during this COVID market, just answer your phone. It's
Mm.
really that simple. And I have, like, if you call my office, you're probably going to get me, or you're going to get one of two other people, because we've decided we don't have automated attendants anymore. We answer our phone, and we answer our phone live with a real human every time, so that you have a human connection with that business. That may not seem like an innovation, but where everybody else is driving automation, sometimes being a little counter culture will gain you more customers than doing the latest and greatest tech thing.
Okay, so that's totally fascinating. That's really old school, it would seem, but I wonder if is there new technology that's allowing you to bring the calls with you? Is there anything high tech that's allowing you to be low tech, so to speak?
A few things. One,
Uh,
cell phone apps. So whether
oh,
that's the Nextiva app for answering voice calls, or just like we're on a electronic meeting at the moment. Um, every meeting platform is a little different, but all of them have cell phone apps, and they make it possible to take your office to places where you want to go instead of being stuck in your office.
I see some businesses understandably being a little nervous about innovation because of all the priorities that are clawing at them every day. But do you have any tips to encourage businesses to be more innovative if it's called for?
Absolutely. And the first one that I give, based on my background with success crises,
Hmm.
is buy a service that's bigger than you think you need.
Oh,
Now, that
okay.
sounds a little counterintuitive, in that you think it will cost more money. But in many cases, particularly with Nextiva and other apps, you may pay no more money to have a more highly featured system than you thought you were going to buy if you went and bought whatever the cheap thing was that you saw advertised on Facebook. Being able to buy an enterprise grade system, whether that's for voice or video chat or texting on your cell phone, um, being able to buy that for small business type dollars is powerful, because now you can get access to the same tools that people who spend much more money have without spending that kind of money. So look for, I call them financial cheats. And that doesn't mean to not tell the IRS how much money you made. That means look for ways to get the products that you need without overpaying. So that may be, in your office, instead of having 12 extensions and you only have 8 people, maybe you only need 6 extensions. That's counterintuitive on the face, but you may be hot desking now, or you may have people who
Hmm.
are remote. You may have people who share an extension. I have 2 young ladies who answer after hours for us, and I don't need an extension for both of them because they're never working at the same time. So they can do what is called hot desking, which was a fancy word back in the enterprise world a few years ago. Now is something that we can do in the growing business market without having to overpay for that feature. And it enables us to be more responsive to our own clients. And then I'm able to teach our small business and growing business clients how to do similar things to save a few dollars, but to be able to get so many more features without breaking the bank.
Are there any recurring mistakes that you see growing businesses making over and over again?
Oh, there are a couple mistakes that I see businesses make consistently. The
Number
first
one.
of number one is going into an office space without checking what kind of internet service you can get in it first. Always, it doesn't matter whether your realtor says it's got internet, it doesn't matter whether the previous tenant had internet. You need to make sure for yourself what internet options are available in that office, or you could very well have signed a great lease on a property that's going to cost you $2,000 a month for internet service, and there goes your lease savings. At number two that I see consistently is not investing in hardware. I don't care whether you think you can do everything on an iPad. You are always going to find something that you're going to need a laptop to do still. In today's world, where we haven't gone completely mobile yet, every growing business is going to eventually need a good laptop. So instead of spending $1,200 on an iPad as your first computer purchase, spend $1,200 on a computer. And then you will save having to spend that money twice when you go back and buy the PC or the Mac, when you find out that you can't do your accounting on the iPad. And that's going to be a critical feature for you to be able to invoice and do the things that you need for your business to grow. That will save spending the same money twice, which can surprisingly add up quickly if you are a small business that's just making its first purchases. And number three, the third mistake that I constantly run into. You would think by now people would know better, but they don't. You have to have a website. You cannot just have a Facebook page. You cannot just have an Instagram page. You cannot just have a TikTok. If you are a business, people expect you to have a website. So whether you go get one from Wix, or we use a product called Strikingly to rapidly develop websites, get a website. It is the best first money that you should spend in your business. A domain and a website together, it's coupled together. You need both pieces. People will go to your website to see if you're legit. So if you tell them, my business is John's Plumber, first thing they're going to do is go to Google and say, John's Plumber. Oh, John doesn't have a website. Oh, John just has a few Google reviews, like 2 Google reviews. Oh, maybe John isn't actually that accomplished of a plumber, because he doesn't have the things that we now expect businesses to have. And so spend the money on a website, even if it's a simple website, and make that some of the first money that you spend, because it will be the legitimizing factor for your business when somebody goes to see if you actually exist.
Well, thank you, Daniel Pentecost. Now you have, I'm sure, so many URLs. Is there one that if someone wants to learn more about you, that you would like them to come to?
Absolutely. We would love to communicate with them via CLT Geek. That's CLTGEEK.com. And we are your concierge business support provider. You can always make us your first call.
Daniel is known on the street as the person people call when Google doesn't have the answer, or some people call him first. He actually has the URL danielpedia.com as well. Well, thank you so much to Nextiva for sponsoring this, and to Daniel for putting up with my not always reverent, in fact, sometimes irreverent questions. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for listening.